So not sure what happened there with Thomas Schrag, but he has refired. I assume we may be able to go back to green flag racing. He's still slow coming down the back straightaway. We'll see what happens with Thomas. Some kind of an intermittent issue with maybe electronically for him. Field otherwise set up. Douglas and Sykes, row 1. Garcia and what's supposed to be Schrag on row 2. Field set, and away we go. Green, green, green. Racing down into turn number 1. Can they get through the festival chicane cleanly? Two drivers cutting through the area that went straight off in through the cut through. They'll have to come back on cleanly. Otherwise, everybody else, well done coming through 1, 2, and now 3. Everybody kind of lining up a little bit further back. Top 5, 6, 7 drivers lining up, coming through 4, now 5. A little bit of side-by-side action, a little bit further back. But again, a tough start there for Thomas Schrag. Not sure what it was with the number 90 exclusive Autosport machine, but was slowing as we said. Here they come through for the first time, and indeed he is done. Full course yellow we're likely going to see here momentarily. He stopped on the back straightaway. They have not yet pulled the full course, but I assume coming down the back chute through the final couple of corners. In fact, yeah, there's the yellow right there. Full course yellow already. I was going to say they can't wait to the back straightaway. He is dead stick midway through the back straightaway. Yellow flag flying, and that is Thomas Schrag, we believe, off. That's what we're being told here by race control. That is a shame for Thomas. Man, that is horrible. He was looking forward to a good run. Did not have a good qualify. Actually didn't qualify at all. Had an issue at Mid-Ohio. Started deep in the field, 18th, 19th, but rolled his way up into the top 10 in those races. He was looking for a cleaner one here, starting P4. So one more race tomorrow for Thomas Schrag. Not an opportunity. And Brady, let's come to you on this one. As we were walking over here, I can't even come to you with the experience of not being able to finish a race because we were kind of doing the math, looking through the results. You may be the only driver in USF Juniors to have finished every lap, completed every lap of the 2023 season. When it comes to trying to get as much experience as you can, that's crucial.
For sure. I mean, it's a great achievement that I completed this year. I feel very happy and proud of that fact. And, yeah.
Hey, lap time's key, right? So Thomas Schrag stopping on the track. He was slowing coming through and very luckily did not get collected by some of the other drivers as they were kind of rolling out there to come back to the green flag. So indeed, Schrag, they'll try to drag him back potentially to pit lane. Maybe they can make some adjustments or find out what is wrong with the car electronically, mechanically, and maybe get him back out onto the racetrack and get the lap times he needs to be ready to go back at it again for the race tomorrow afternoon, because still 2 more races, 1 each for USF 2000 and USF Pro 2000 after the IndyCar race tomorrow. So if you're hanging out and watching the IndyCar race, you don't need to jump into your car. You don't need to climb into the traffic to get out of the racetrack here. Just sit down, grab yourself another cold drink, and enjoy yourself as you can, again, check out the future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series here in this USF Pro Championships. Yesterday, able to crown a champion in this category, Simon Sykes, as I said, of Athens, Georgia, able to get the title there. We're potentially locking down another champion in the race that follows USF 2000. USF Pro 2000 will get set to roll out, and the driver looking to get the championship is Miles Rowe. He will become the first African-American to win a open-wheel championship. And we'll see what happens today. He's had such a consistent season, 5 wins on the program, so there's an opportunity for him to come away with a big championship that would send him to the Indy Next Series with a scholarship from Discount Tire and Anderson Promotions worth over $633,000. That's the scholarship and a big part of this program we have here, the USF Pro Championships. Every level, a scholarship amount that will help make you move up to the next rung on the ladder. There you see Thomas Schrag getting the tow. And indeed, mechanical or electrical, I would expect they'll just bring him back down pit lane. There'll be an opportunity to potentially diagnose what's wrong with the number 90 and get him back out onto the racetrack. But indeed, another time around here, I'm sure that we'll go green. When we come back around, it'll be a single file restart. Let's have a look how things shook out there. As we know, we try to let them run after a yellow for a number of corners to see what happens in terms of dialing things in. Jacob Douglas looks to be like able to take that top spot coming out cleanly through. We saw a couple of drivers make the cut through. Not exactly sure which drivers those were, but looks to be like Max Garcia slotting up into second. Simon Sykes into third. Matt Clark fourth. Evagores Papasavas in the 5th spot. 6th, Nikita Johnson. 7th, George Garcia Arce. 8th is Ethan Ho. 9th, Lockie Hughes. And 10th, Sam Corey. 11th, Al Morey. 12th, Max Taylor. 13th, Elliot Cox. 14th and 15th, Gordon Scully. and Maxwell Jameson. Lucas Fakuri in 16th, another one of our young USF juniors drivers who is dipping his toes in the water here in USF 2000 this weekend. Carson Eder 17th, Ava Dobson 18th, and as we know, Thomas Schrag not yet able to complete a lap. Jacob Douglas, again, looking, as I said, to potentially try to see if he can't grab his second win. Got that first victory yesterday. Such a relief for a young driver who has not yet won in 2 years of competition, but capping off his sophomore season here in USF 2000 with a major victory. So indeed, folks, I've said this before. So for Miles Rowe, he's going to be, obviously, if he can win this championship, the first ever African American. I know that sometimes we've said a young black driver, but of course, obviously, Lewis Hamilton's got a couple of accolades throughout his career. But the first African American could be Miles Rowe here today out of Brooklyn, New York. And it's been such a story for Miles, the whole program that was able to bring him into the series. Roger Penske and his program for quality and change. They wanted to bring a young driver in. Ernie Francis, of course, running with the Force Indy team right now in Indy next. But the Force Indy team happening a couple of years ago, a single car effort in USF 2000. Miles kind of discovered to a certain extent by Will Power at a track down in Mooresville, North Carolina, a karting facility, able to get a chance to come and run. And we're going to see that event happen momentarily. It's going to be fun after we're done with USF 2000 to see whether or not Miles Rowe can do it, or Kiko Porto can potentially keep closing up. Back to green flag once again, and we are rolling. So back at it. Again, the rundown into turn number 1. Oh, contact from behind, and a driver's gone around. Contact from behind coming in. That's Max Garcia, who gets tagged in the back. You wonder whether or not Simon Sykes got into the back of his teammate, was right with him, I think, coming into the braking zone. So Sykes may have gotten into the back of Garcia, potentially checked up a little bit. Sykes works his way into second. That's going to move Matt Clark up into third. So Garcia, who was hoping to try to get up onto the podium after an issue yesterday dropped him to the tail of the field, now finds himself, again, falling back deeper in the pack. I don't think he did go all the way to the very back. You wonder if there's any damage to the number 24 Advanced Auto Parts Pabst Racing machine, but he'll keep digging. We'll have a look at the replay here of what happened coming down. You're going to see the straight shot coming in. And indeed, I have a feeling it's just contact from behind and maybe just an early break for Garcia. Watch them coming down here into turn number 1. All of a sudden, oh no, Garcia moves. That's what happened there. Garcia was looking to the inside of Douglas coming into the corner, and he literally moved from right to left. And we'll get a chance to look at this one again before we're all said and done. The field coming around to put a lap in, but it looks like Garcia was tucking to the inside, was trying to come back across, but I would bet, and not by much, Simon Sykes was kind of right in there, probably just touched the nose of Simon Sykes. Working their way now down through into turn number 1, 2, and 3. Big brake lock up there, but that driver doesn't have a front wing. Check out that. One of the drivers, maybe a VRD car without a front wing. I'll try to pick up who that was. Indeed, hard to get the car to whoa up into the corner when you don't have that downforce coming into the corner. So as they work their way to turn number 4 and 5, let's have one more look at this incident with Garcia and Sykes. And watch Garcia looking to the left side. Yeah, he's trying to think about going down the bottom. Matt Clark way to the outside. You'll watch him come back across the racetrack, and just as he comes back across, that is going to be nose cone to rear attenuator, I would bet, as he gets into the nose of Simon Sykes. So Douglas still leads. Sykes into second there. Matt Clark running in third. So tough one there for Max Garcia, who now put his head down and start digging. Last time by, Nikita Johnson running in the 4th spot. Evagoras Papasavas in 5th. Those of you watching on the broadcast, hello to those of you around the country and around the world. I always like to say hello to those following on the USF Pro Championships app or on the YouTube channel. But we had Nikita Johnson on the broadcast with us, the pre-race show. He is lining up to do 55 laps here this afternoon. He did a 25-lapper yesterday in USF 2000. And indeed, got wrecked in the opening lap for USF Pro, so didn't get a chance to do all 30 of those laps. Today, though, he's going to hop right out of this car, USF 2000, go right into the Pro car, so it's going to be a barn burner for him as well. Let's bring Brady Golan in here, talking a little bit about the double duty, and I know Brady hasn't done double duty, but last weekend, Brady, at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, it's, 83 degrees here right now. It's a warm day here in Portland. It was 111 with the heat index in race number 3 in Sunday in Texas last weekend. It wasn't double duty. You weren't running both classes, but how hard was that in the car at 111 degrees?
Oh, it was so hard. And I live in Austin. I don't know how I should have
You're
been
the local
doing
driver.
the best
That's
with the
right.
heat.
Yeah.
I should have been doing the best with the heat, and I couldn't. It was crazy.
What was the biggest? Was it concentration? Did you physically start to wear out? Obviously, I know you guys were trying to hydrate as much as you could throughout the weekend, but what was the primary thing you were battling with? Was it just the concentration?
It was, for sure, concentration was in there, but just the sheer heat alone, you could feel it. You know, we have ventilation in our helmets.
Yep.
I have a Bell helmet, and we have a ton of ventilation in there, but it's still hot air that's being blown into the helmet.
That's it.
It's crazy.
I had somebody, I think it might have been Jack Jeffers, tell me it was like getting breathing through a hot hairdryer
For sure.
in your face, right? Unbelievable. Yes. Lots of action happening right now. The number 14 into pit lane and back out. So that was Sam Corey. Not sure whether Sam got a drive-through or what that might have been for Sam Corey, but he came into pit lane and back out onto the racetrack. So trouble for Sam Corey. Hasn't been able to have a really strong weekend here, although we've seen good pace out of the young North Carolina driver, his first year here in USF 2000. Douglas, Sykes, and Clark. They have 1.2 seconds on Nikita Johnson, who runs in fourth. Evagoras Papasavas fifth. George Garcia-Arce sixth. Ethan Ho, Lockie Hughes, Max Taylor, and Elliot Cox, your top 10. Cox, again, talked about the massive shunt that he had, wrecked that car pretty badly in practice yesterday morning. The team somehow was able to fix it, to Elliott even jumping in to help. They got him out onto the racetrack, dead last, just enough time to make the start of the race, and he drove it from 19th up into 10th, and that's where he runs again right now. Elliot Cox in 10th spot, just 6/10 behind Max Taylor. Both those drivers trying to dig in to see if they can't close up on Lockie Hughes a bit. They were both quicker by about a 10th from Lockie last time by. 25 laps, the distance of the race here. It'll be 30 for USF Pro 2000. That'll be next up. Good battle there, as you see, coming through turn number 1 and 2. That's Gordon Scully, Lucas Fakuri, Carson Eder, and Maxwell Jamison, 12th back to 15th, having a good scrap. See Elliot Cox right there as well behind now Al Morey. I think Morey may have got by Cox. That could be a potential battle there. Or, in fact, no, that's Morey's a little further back. He's 3 seconds back in 11th. He's the one that's got Gordon Scully behind him. That is actually Elliot Cox, I believe, getting by Lockie Hughes. Hughes, a multi-time winner on the season. Lockie came in still second place in points, 4 wins on the season, 1 in Sebring. Started the season with a victory in the opening round at St. Pete. Also was able to win on the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and at Road America as well. Here's that fight between Carson Eder, Maxwell Jamison, and Lucas Fakuri. He's racing against both of those D-Force drivers, and he's through. Carson Eder, I think, now potentially up into the 12th spot. Of course, this race here at Portland International Raceway, our one big run over to the West Coast. The series of schedule primarily set east of the Mississippi. So many great iconic venues there, but always awesome to get out here to the Pacific Northwest. We've had many young drivers come from this area who have raced with us over the years as well. Josh Pearson, of course, being one that we saw come through the ranks. Douglas leading now by 7/10 of a second. Simon Sykes, I'm sure, would think about going to try to chase his teammate, but for Simon, he's already got the championship done. Cruise around here into second. Be huge for Jacob to get another win here. There's a chance for Douglas to sweep all 3 races here in Portland. Paps has been very good here. Of course, last year we know the championship battle in USF 2000 between Miles Rowe, Jace Denmark, and Michael D'Orlando. The Paps cars rolled out very good. They were quick, but contact coming down into the festival chicane, started these races, opened the door for Michael D'Orlando to come through and walk away with that USF 2000 championship. You saw the number 67 of Elliot Cox rolling through there, and that primarily white and orange drive planning machine for Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing Development, but there's a bunch of carbon fiber not wrapped bodywork on there. A big shunt, as I said in practice. They were able to get that car put back together. Elliott trying to see if he can't bring the team home a bunch of top 10s. 3 top 10s I think would be a good way to cap off the season for Elliot Cox. He rolls in here 13th place in points and with an opportunity to potentially work his way up into the top 10. So be a good start for the driver who ran USF Juniors last year, a single car effort here running in USF 2000 as a freshman. Field starting to stream out, as you see. There's Ethan Ho in the white number 68. Behind Ethan Ho, Max Taylor in the 33, then the 67 of Cox. I think that Nikita Johnson closing up a little bit here on Matt Clark. The gap was over a second a little while back. It's only 0.8 of a second now. Nikita was actually a little over a tenth quicker on that last lap. So Johnson trying to close up to potentially get himself onto the podium. Remember, that'll be interesting. How do we do the podium if he's got to get out of the car and then get into his pro car? We may be doing the podium. He may be running over and jumping into the pro car. We have to put a little hold on if Nikita Johnson can get on the podium here. He's still running fourth. Papasavas in fifth. So you see them bolt across start-finish here. George Garcia Arce having a good run here in the sixth position as well. Started 10th, so up into sixth. Solid run for Garcia Arce. He is 8th place in the points coming into the championship here right now. A couple of sixth-place finishes, one at Sebring, one at IMS. He finished 4th at Road America as well. Those are among his best finishes of the year, so could be a good way to kind of wrap up the season here for George Garcia Arce, the Mexican who races for D-Force Racing. And Brady, that'll be a car you want to be in sooner or later, right? I know you're going USF Juniors next year, but it always happens when we have you guys in the booth. How excited are you? Maybe it's going to be 2025, but you'll probably do some testing, I would bet, in USF 2000 next year. Have you driven the 2000 car yet?
I did. I drove Mid-Ohio. I drove the 2000 at Mid-Ohio in the race.
That's
there.
right. How'd that feel?
It was a great weekend. I had pretty good pace. I wasn't feeling the best. I was pretty sick, and
that's not easy.
It was for sure my hardest race weekend, but I mean, it's seats I'm in the 2000 car. It's what I want to be driving in the near future.
Indeed. All these young drivers in USF Juniors looking forward to working their way up the ladder program, see if they can't get themselves, of course, up into Indy Next. That's really the key program for us here in the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires, is to try to make drivers prepped and ready to go to Indy Next. If you look at the field, all but 2 drivers in the field right now of Indy Next came from our program, USF, whether they came through just the USF Pro 2000 class or potentially started in USF 2000 as well. We'll see some drivers who have started in juniors. Again, that'll happen in the next couple of years. The juniors only into its second season, of course.
And we saw Kiko Porto make his Indy Next debut at Indy. That was great for him. He's a front runner in Pro 2000.
Just talking about his teammate, right, at D-Force Racing. Yuven Sundermurthy as well, Francesco Pizzi. We've had a couple drivers, like you said, kind of dip their toes in the water, right, running like you did earlier this year at Mid-Ohio for USF 2000. I like that. Again, we hated to see Yuven make the move completely over to the Indy Next program, but I understand it, man. He's done a bunch of racing his second year in USF Pro, and, man, solid for him today in practice. Yuven for Able Motorsports was 10th. A great practice session there, and speed coming for Yuven Sundermurthy, who is a race winner in USF 2000. What do you think about Kiko, though? Had a really good run on the road course at Indianapolis, and I'm sure you'll be watching next weekend when he's running at Laguna Seca.
For sure. It was incredible to see Kiko out there. I mean, he's a great person, been my teammate. He's been, I look up to all of my teammates. I look up to all my teammates, even the ones that are in my own series, like Quinn and Nico. I mean, they've helped me a lot throughout this year. Quinn, actually, when he was in Austin, he and I worked out together. And it's funny because I think we're both pretty physically fit for juniors, but we tried to do each other's workouts and we couldn't.
I love it.
It's funny.
So tell me about this a little bit. So you've got a guy like Kiko Porto, right, running in the USF Pro 2000. You don't really have many weekends together. I think Sebring was the only weekend. Oh, actually, last weekend as well at COTA. You look at Kiko as kind of the mentor right now. Is he kind of the captain of the team in terms of the drivers?
For sure, you see that. You see drivers like Nolan Siegel, who came through us, and he's running in Indy Next right now. He's doing well. I mean, it's great. It's great being surrounded by successful drivers who can help push us to our career goal.
And it's not just the team around you. Obviously, David and Ernesto Martinez. You have Mateus Lays there, but even all the drivers working together too.
For sure.
I like it.
For sure.
Look at this battle we're seeing right now. Elliot Cox up into 9th. He's trying to put some pressure on Max Taylor right now. That could be a run here. He's going to look to the inside, pick this one up. Here comes down the bottom. Elliot Cox. He's going to swing way wide as down the inside comes Taylor. Let's see if Cox can do an over-under. He's right there on the gearbox now of Max Taylor, the VRD driver. Again, this is Cox trying to work his way up to 8th. In this race here, Cox started back in the 15th position. Look at it. The pressure he is putting on Max Taylor right now. Trying to find a way by. This is not an easy place to overtake. A lot of long duration corners where you're carrying a lot of speed, but also get a bit of aero wash where you lose that downforce off the front wing where you're tucked up in behind the driver. There's definitely a shot coming down the back straightaway to make the move to the inside, but it's not a hard-breaking corner. You really have to force the issue down into turn number 10. Best passing opportunity we know under the brakes down into turn number 1, but you can see that Taylor kind of covered it off to the inside, ran that defensive line. Cox putting a bunch of pressure on him now. It's a great fight here for 8th. Up front, it's a 1-second lead for Jacob Douglas. Still a long way to go. 10 laps remain. Getting out of 12, crucial here for Elliot Cox. Here comes a big run. All about leveraging the draft. Does he get it done coming down the front straightaway? He's still a couple of car lengths back. I don't know if he's close enough even to dive to the inside. No. Thinks better of it and tucks back in again. Trying to see if he can't pressure Max Taylor into a mistake. And Brady, that's something you're learning, right? When you're out there as a young driver, you're learning how to position yourself. You're learning the racecraft. Sometimes you're hunting. Sometimes you're the hunted, right? So when you're chasing somebody, you try to figure out where to pass. What's your mindset when you're getting hunted, right? It's kind of just try to hit the marks all the time.
It's very easy to lose focus when you're being hunted. I remember at COTA this past weekend, I had a pretty big gap between me and I think it was Nico and Eric Schutten. And they caught me after a while just because I kept looking in my mirrors. It's very nerve-wracking.
It is, and they'll tell you that. Don't look in your mirrors, right? Stay looking forward. But it's hard not to. They're there. You want to find out how close you are, and that's it. And that's something you learn, as we know, right? It's all about learning in our program. It is a development series. The drivers in USF Juniors coming out of maybe one of the Formula Car series, like a Skip Barber Racing School, or potentially coming in from top-level kart racing as well. We'll see a number of drivers come from the very top-level national racing of karting, but karting is radically different than running a Formula Car for sure. It's a much different dynamic. Am I not correct, Brady? It's so different. Phil, I'll tell you, every time we come in here, I love it because I know, Phil Martelli joined me, one of the voices of this Grand Prix of Portland. We like bringing new drivers in for you to get a chance to see some of the young drivers of our program.
I'm so impressed. I mean, not just Brady, but the gentleman you had in here yesterday.
Yeah, Nicholas.
15 years old in the juniors. I didn't catch what year did you actually start racing in any type of car?
So I started karting with a team Nash in California. I raced KA with them. I did a couple races. Decent amount of testing, just not a lot of racing. So I don't think I've developed the racecraft that some of the other drivers have, but I've been doing the best with what I have, and I've been trying to develop quick.
How old were you when you started, though, in that?
It was, it's crazy. I was pretty far off the pace in karts at first, and then it's just you had to build pace, you had to get up to speed. Good battles.
The interesting thing, Phil, and Brady, you'll say that your learning curve has been so steep, right? That's the one thing. I said to you when we first got to the first race at that spring training, you are Brady Golan right now. Wait till you are who you are when you get to September. How much different are you now than you were at the start of the season?
It's crazy. I mean, it's funny how much all of these drivers have developed,
Agreed.
Including
Yep.
me. You see Carson Etters.
Yep.
He's doing 2000 this weekend. He's been doing great. I've had battles with him in juniors and, in 2000 also at Mid-Ohio. We had a good battle. I mean, he's had a good season.
It's all about driver development, man. You guys have had great seasons. I look forward to see what Brady's going to be able to do next year. I think he'll be one of the front runners, a challenger for the championship in that category. Again, Simon Sykes, as we said, already has that championship locked and loaded. The driver of Athens, Georgia, currently running in that second spot as he is trying to chase down his teammate Jacob Douglas. There they are right there. He is closed right back up. And we may have a battle for the final position on the podium as well. As you can see, Nikita Johnson rolling up here on Matt Clark. He's got a big run. And Evagoras Papasavos in the Jay Howard driver development, number 6, not that far back as well. So we're most definitely not done. 18 laps down. I believe 17 laps down, I think I'm seeing here on live timing. Says 18 on the screen, 17 on live timing, so 8 laps remaining, working lap number 18, so still 8 laps to go. Douglas, Sykes, Clark, Johnson, Papasavos, 7 seconds back to Garcia Arce. Garcia Arce running in 6th, Ethan Ho 7th, Max Taylor, as we know, getting challenged by Elliot Cox lap after lap after lap. That is for 8th. Al Morey holding on to his position inside the top 10. Gordon Scully 11th. Lockie Hughes has fallen back to 12th. Carson Eder 13th. Lucas Fakuri 14th. Maxwell Jamison, Ava Dobson. Sam Corey had to come into pit lane. He's back out. Max Garcia had to get repairs. He's back out. And Thomas Schrag, as we know, not able to start the race, and they were not able to figure out what happened to the car to get him back on track as well. So Thomas Schrag will have one more shot at it tomorrow afternoon to try to see if he can't salvage a deserved result here after good pace in both practice and qualifying. There's Simon Sykes right there with Jacob Douglas. I just don't see Simon Sykes trying to make any kind of aggressive move here now, although I'm sure he'd like to get the victory. Championship's already there. Probably more than happy to bring it home. Second spot to go again. Pabst Racing 1-2. Augie Pabst from Pabst Racing getting that long-awaited driver championship. They've won the team championship multiple times, but the first driver championship in USF 2000 competition. Here comes a move potentially for that 8th spot. Let's see if we have a move here coming into the corner. Indeed, Cox to the bottom, side by side. Cox trying to work the outside on Max Taylor. They're through turn 2, and Cox gets it done in turn number 3. Book it. It took 3 corners to get done, but Elliot Cox inside of turn number 1, outside of 2, inside of 3. Beautiful pass. Both those drivers giving each other room. And I would expect to see Elliot Cox bolt away a little bit here. I think he's got the pace. You're not going to see him reel in Ethan Ho. 4.4 seconds back with only 7 laps remaining. But nonetheless, what a great pass there for Elliot Cox. Couldn't ask for much more there. Very impressive.
You know, Rob, it's cool to see. It's cool to see battles in Spec Series where the cars are the exact same because, I mean, it's pure driver. It's not BOP. It's not nothing like that.
That's it.
It's incredible to see that between Max Taylor and Elliot Cox.
Got to give a little bit of nod to the engineers, right? Because there's a
sure.
little bit of work you can do to these cars. Not a ton, but a little bit of work can be done. Preparation, of course. But yeah, this is the whole idea. It's a spec chassis, folks. Everybody on the same Tatis Italian-built USF 22 chassis. They all have the same engine, as mentioned before, all built and dynoed by Elite Engines. The same Cooper tires all the way around. So it really is a driver series as opposed to technically between the teams running different chassis. So that's the beauty of this program. Driver development is key. As we said, laps is what we want them to get. We had one early yellow flag for Thomas Schrag, who had some kind of an electrical issue. And again, from there, we've been green all the way through. 6 more laps remain as 19 are down. It's 2.1 seconds from Sykes back to Clark, so the top 2 drivers pretty much have things handled. The question is whether or not Nikita Johnson, that number 17's got what it takes to reel in Matt Clark for P3. And for me, the crazy thing right now is this race is going to be done. As tired as you are after a 25-lapper, he's going to jump back behind the wheel of the USF Pro 2000 car to see what he can do there. This will be the biggest test ever of young Nikita Johnson's career. Obviously, tried it yesterday, but got looped and spun out of the race on the opening circuit, the opening corner. So he didn't even do 26 laps, to be honest, at speed, having finished the USF 2000 race and not got over to turn number 3 in USF Pro. So today's going to be a challenge for him if he's able to get through the festival chicane. Taking away here for Jacob Douglas, and this is one thing we see a lot, is a young driver like Jacob Douglas getting that first victory. It just takes off so much pressure. Great pass there, I think, for Carson Eder. I think he made a move by there, so Carson Eder may be up another spot as well. Eder pushing hard to work his way forward. Good job for the driver of the number 57 DC Autosport machine. But again, you get that first win. And Phil, let's come back to you real quickly here. That first victory, I know you do a lot of stuff in the sprint world as well, but when you get that first victory as a driver, number one, it proves to yourself you can get the job done. You have the confidence, and then it builds that momentum into the next one. The second win, I think, always comes a lot easier than the first one.
After that, yeah, for sure, this young man would probably know that. If not, he'll know real soon.
He will, exactly.
You're absolutely correct. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and for Jacob Douglas, again, it's the end of his second year. He's been struggling this year. Mid-season change in team to get a little different atmosphere, different culture, and it has worked. Moving over to Pabst Racing, and it's been very strong. Look at the battle we have here through turn number 2 now. That is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Matt Clark digging to see if he can't find his way potentially up into the top 3 in points. We're not done yet because Lockie Hughes is having a rough one here. Hughes all the way back in the 12th position, and there's an opportunity for Nikita Johnson and Evagoras Papasavas to work their way up into 2nd and 3rd. Hughes, tomorrow especially, is going to be on full defense mode, trying to hold on to 2nd place in the championship. At one point, he was battling for the title. Simon Sykes able to pull away after some incidents at Mid-Ohio. And now we find ourselves with a wide open run for second and third in the championship, and of course third, the final position on the podium here in race number 2. Temp working its way up to 85 degrees, pretty much the high of the day. We may see 86 as the mercury continues to rise, but nonetheless a gorgeous day. Blue skies, little cloud. Absolutely perfect for racing here at Portland International Raceway. Laps winding down, but I think this one's going to heat up before it's all said and done. It all depends on how aggressive we see from the 17 in Nikita Johnson. Again, he's in that battle with the championship. He's third in points. He came in 8 points behind Lockie Hughes as they run on the racetrack. If Nikita finishes in fourth, he would have 327 points. Lockie Hughes, who currently runs in 13th, would have 324 points. So indeed, Lockie Hughes or Nikita would move into a 3-point advantage, I believe, unofficially here. Matt Clark finishing third goes 309. So he's only going to be back by about, I want to say, 15 points, potentially go to third. Evagoras Papasavvas is in this as well. So many different permutations. We'll get the Excel spreadsheet to find out how this one all plays out before it's all said and done. But yeah, with Lockie Hughes struggling as he is back in 13th, blows things wide open for second and third in the championship battle. It'll be 2 to go this time by for Jacob Douglas as he tries to get his second win. Pabst Racing, as we know, qualified 1, 2, 3. They rolled out of the trailer well. Max Garcia struggled a little bit here. He got the incident early as he got into it with his teammate Simon Sykes, trying to come across the bow to set up for a move on Douglas. I put him to the back into the tail of the field. He has fought his way now back up a bit, I believe. No, actually, that's right. He had to come in to make some, he's been fighting, but he had to come in to make some adjustments or some repairs. So he's still, I want to say, 8 laps or 6 laps, maybe 7 laps down. So number of laps down there, maybe 9 actually. He's 14 laps in the books. Everybody else is 23, so 9 laps down. They may have parked Garcia at this point. Bring it in, save the rubber. Although I'm sure they got a better set to go for tomorrow afternoon. Down the back straightaway again. Those are 2 Pabst cars looking really good. Douglas looking for race win number 2. Sykes on a Saturday cruise, already crowned the series champion. Look at Nikita Johnson putting the pressure on here. You can just see the car undulate as it comes down through the bumps into turn number 10. Nikita's as close as he's been. Big run out of 12. Let's see if Johnson makes the move here. Is he ready to pounce? He's close. White flag flying here at start finish. Final lap. He'll go to the inside. Makes the move. They'll be side by side through it. Book it. He is through. Johnson goes to P3. Nikita Johnson into third. Papasavvas now ready to go after Clark. And that's even going to help Nikita stretch his gap even more. I would move him up to, Nikita would have third place, 330 points. Lockie would have 324. 6-point swing or 6-point advantage now for Johnson as they run on the racetrack. Matt Clark, who won here last year, coming through the chaos of the opening corner, had third, but now fourth. Now going to watch out for Evagoras Papasavvas. Last lap for the Pabst Racing cars, though. What a weekend it's been so far. Championship already. A win for their sophomore driver they picked up midway through the season. They'll be celebrating down in New Zealand as they work through the last couple of corners. There's third, fourth, and fifth. Leaders already on the front straightaway. Pabst Racing 1, 2, and it'll be back-to-back jacks for Jacob Douglas from Pabst Racing. Another win for the Kiwi. 2 wins on the weekend. What a way to cap off the 2023 season. Can he make it 3 tomorrow afternoon? We'll see. Simon Sykes comes home in second. Nikita Johnson passing on the final circuit over to the Festival Chicane. He's able to outgun Matt Clark, who takes fourth. Evagoras Papasavvas in sixth, or fifth rather. Johnson, Clark, and Papasavvas all closing up in terms of where they sit in the championship battle for second, third, and fourth. I believe Lockie Hughes is going to fall back into the third spot by about 6 points. George Garcia Arce ends up in sixth. Ethan Ho, seventh. Elliot Cox in eighth. Max Taylor, ninth. Al Morey going to round out the top 10. A good run for Morey. Started 13th. He works his way up into the top 10. There it is there, folks, your unofficial results. Jacob Douglas, once again, top of the charts in the number 23. Sykes, of course, a nice cruise on a Saturday as your current champion in the USF 2000 program. Nikita Johnson, that great move late in the run. Final lap, he gets by Matt Clark with a good move to the inside of the opening corner. Jacob Douglas, though, with the win. Phil, a little issue at the start. After that, clean running.
After that, they got the rhythm. They did great. And what you were saying is once you get that career first win, you know it's not long before the next one, but the next day.
The next one. We've seen, trust me, it opens the floodgates sometimes. When you're successful and you're starting on the pole again, I expect to see Douglas on the pole again tomorrow. If he's able to get through, it could be 3 wins. He could sweep this triple header. Brady Gold, thank you so much for joining me, man. I do appreciate it. Great to have you back here. You were in the booth with me earlier this year at Sebring, I believe. Now we have you here.
First round.
How excited are you for – I know these guys still have to cap off 2023. For you, 2024 has already started. You got to get back in the gym. You got to get back in the car for testing. How excited are you for next year?
There's that, but there's also – I'm doing some other racing. I'm making my IMSA debut in 2 weeks at Indy with a former USF 2000 race winner, Cameron Shields.
Cameron Shields. That'll be pretty solid. Mm-hmm. What kind of car are you running there?
We're running with Carbon. We're running a Cayman.
There you
Porsche
go.
Cayman GT4.
Thanks for joining me, buddy. I appreciate it.
For sure.
Brady Gold, folks out of Austin, Texas, will be running next year for D-Force Racing and USF Juniors. I'm sure we'll see him in a couple of USF 2000 races as well. Well, what a day for this driver here as he'll jump out of the car with another victory for Jacob Douglas. Back-to-back jacks here in Portland for the New Zealander. Big victory for him. And indeed, we'll Simon Sykes coming out to chat with Jacob Douglas as well. That worked probably all to plan for Pabst Racing in terms of at least the drivers up front there. Not so good for Max Garcia after the contact there. And probably have a quick look at the front wing there. I bet see the front of the nose. Maybe a little scrape there coming across. But again, Jacob Douglas will head over, as all the drivers do after each race, having to weigh in to make sure that they make weight on the car. There's Nikita Johnson, a great job for him. Remember, we're going to do the podium with Nikita. I wonder whether he'll come to the podium with us or he might go right back to the USF Pro car. I don't know yet. We'll see how it all plays out, but we do have the podium still to come. We're quite a ways away, I think, from the command to kind of fire things off here, which is key, which is give us a little bit, I think, more breathing room, which is solid because I know that obviously everybody ready to get rolling here, but again, we have a bit of time before we get rolling with the drivers here in USF Pro 2000. Of course, we want to give a little bit of time, as we know, for Nikita Johnson to get himself back ready to go. But hey, bottom line is this. It was a big run there for Jacob Douglas, another victory for him as well. Time to head down to Victory Lane, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're going to run a couple of commercials here. When we get back on the live broadcast, we're going to be heading down to Victory Lane to celebrate Race 2 for USF 2000. Well, ladies and gentlemen, time to get things underway here. Victory Lane for race number 2 for the drivers here in the USF 2000 program. All part of the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Portland. We're not going to have the driver here in third place. That was Nikita Johnson. As I said, he's jumping out of this car right into the USF Pro 2000 car. Double duty for the young 15-year-old, so it'll be a barn burner for him for sure. So indeed, no third place presenter. But let's get the guy coming home in second spot here. Kind of an easier Saturday because he won the championship yesterday. Today, all about having some fun, folks. Put hands together, finishing in second spot, Simon Sykes. USF 2000 champion already crowned. Andrew Gregory, one of our guests from Discount Tire, is going to bring him a second place trophy. I'm sure that Simon could have got aggressive there potentially, but maybe not to make sure we get a good finish here for Pabst Racing. Andrew, one of our guests, as I said, from Discount Tire, going to join us here up on the podium. One more spot, though, to cap things off, folks. As we said, Nikita Johnson finishing in third. We know he's back in the car already. This gets set to go. We're only about 10 minutes away from getting things fired up for pro. But the driver who comes in here again, folks, this is back-to-back victories. This is what we see when a guy gets his first win. He does it again today on a Saturday. Put your hands together for Jacob Douglas, winning in USF 2000. Jacob, you get that first win, takes all the pressure off. You're on the pole again. I would have to feel that this start today, maybe a lot less hectic than yesterday.
Yeah, a little bit. Having done it obviously before yesterday, leading into turn 1 and stuff, made it a bit easier. But it was a pretty long race. Simon behind me the whole time, and then I made some mistakes at the end, and he was pretty close.
Can I ask about the track a little bit? Obviously, IndyCar back out there. Indy Next was out there. Any significant change in terms of the more rubber going down?
I think for yesterday's race, there was definitely a bit more understeer. But no, yeah, it just makes it a bit more grippy. Obviously, it's a lot hotter as well, but yeah.
You get your first win yesterday. How important is it now you keep going? Do you have more momentum going into the offseason? You feel like, man, you're ready to go for 2024 already?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to next year and carrying this momentum through into that.
Who do you want to thank?
Massive thanks to Pabst Racing, my parents, everyone who supported me and made this happen.
You've done this before. Let's do it again. Get on top of the podium. Jacob Douglas, guys. Another win here. Let's bring that first place trophy, and he's adding to the collection. Aaron Bray, again, one of our guests from Discount Tire, going to bring that first place trophy in. And again, we talk a lot about the fact where these young drivers are able to break through and get that first win. The floodgates kind of open. There's that confidence. They know they can get the victory. And again, Jacob Douglas, a big win. I know the family back home in New Zealand watching the broadcast, so I'm sure that Craig and Rowena are loving this here right now. Pabst Racing on the podium. We would have Nikita Johnson here, but he's going to try to run 55 straight laps. Nikita running 25 in USF 2000, just climbed into his USF Pro 2000 car for VRD Racing. He'll get set to go for another 30 laps. That guy is going to be wiped out when this day's all said and done, but going to try to come back and do it again tomorrow. As will both of these drivers here. After the IndyCar race tomorrow, you don't need to jump in the car. Don't need to get into traffic. Just hang out with us here. Grab something cold to drink. And we've got 2 more races for you after the IndyCar main event tomorrow. And again, the drivers you'll be watching are the drivers you'll see in IndyCar the next 3, 4, 5 years. This is where the stars like a Kyle Kirkwood, all those drivers, Rinus VeeKay, they were all part of this program. David Malukas, Pato O'Ward. I could go on and on for the drivers who have come through this USF Pro Championships to work their way into the big show, the NTT IndyCar Series. Another race still to come, USF Pro 2000 on the grid. Again, we're looking to fire them up here in a few minutes. We'll get back up with the tower. We'll try to give you the rundown of all the drivers set to go. And then again, we will get back at it for a 30-lapper for the very top rung of the USF Pro Championships. Big thank you, of course, as always, to Cooper Tires, Discount Tire as well. And here comes some of the folks that we've had here this weekend. Our Kids on Track program, sponsored by High Tide. Always bring a bunch of group of young fans out to races around the country here, and they get a chance to get up close and personal with the drivers, with the teams. Really cool opportunity to come out and have a great weekend at the track. So we always thank High Tide for their Kids on Track program. And from there, like I said, we've got champagne waiting in the wings, and once we get that rolled out, I'll head back up into the tower and we'll give you the full lineup of all 19 drivers, 18, I believe, maybe even 17. There's a couple drivers I don't think are going to make the start here for USF Pro race number 2. We may have 17 drivers in total getting ready to roll off the grid. All right, folks, let's wrap things up here from Victory Lane. The champagne's going to fly here momentarily. Time to get things back underway. As I said, the champagne will fly. I'll head back up, folks. Time to get back at it. USF Pro 2000 up next.